Yeah, keep that in mind. I think the model's probably portable and more portable to state houses than you might think. I think Congress is a pretty advanced institution in figuring out ways to protect the status quo. State houses are a little bit more amateur in their production. So you may be able to hack into them in ways that I haven't been able to in the Congress, even though I think I've had some success in the Congress. Start with where I started. I got a call from Jane Hampshire during the healthcare debate. She had a project. A whole bunch of Democratic congressmen said that the public option was imperative in the healthcare bill. So she wanted video of these folks promising to vote for any bill that didn't contain a public option. She sent me up to the hill with a little flip cam to talk to these guys. I had no idea what I was doing. So I get up there, and you know, there's 434 of them. I know a few of them. I mean, I'll recognize Barney Frank in the crowd, but not that many of them, right? So I have to walk up to them. Are you a Democrat or Republican? Oh, you're a Democrat. What's your name? And then I have to look down my list of 62 people that said that. Oh, great, you're on my list. Well, will you take this pledge to vote against any bill that doesn't have a public option in it? And it turns out these folks are trained not to make any pledges at all. So only one of, probably the 8 or 10 that I eventually tracked down would make the pledge. I think that was Emmanuel Cleveland. Other folks, gave what Jane would call weasel words and all the rest. So here I am with these videos that these folks, I tell them I'm for a progressive. We all want the same thing. I turn the video over to Jane and blazoned across the top weasel words from Elliot and whoever, So here I am back on the hill the next day with all sorts of enemies on both sides of the aisle. Democrats don't like it, Republicans don't like it. It was funny while I was working on that project. Like I said, Democrat or Republican. Oh, you're a Republican, I'll talk to you later. But really, my entire history had been going after Republicans, so I just felt like that was a huge wasted opportunity. One night I'm watching Chris Matthews, and he's got a Republican on that just won't answer the question. Do you believe Barack Obama was born in the United States? It was pulling teeth. It took 5 minutes for him to say anything even plain vanilla about, yeah, I guess I do. So I called Jane and I said, well, when I'm talking to the rest of the Republicans, why don't I ask them if they believe Barack Obama was born in the United States? And that launched another project. And, y'all probably saw the videos. They were like on MSNBC, even Chris Matthews, NBC. So for the better part of the week, all these Republicans either running from the question or saying, no, they didn't believe it, or why can't you produce a birth certificate? And it just showed that there were always opportunities when you're on the hill to do something productive. So that's the background. That's how things got started. Now, when the thing ended with Jane, I was looking for something to do, and oddly enough, before David and I had even talked much, I was over at Congress Matters, and I saw a post he had written about a Senate committee hearing for some veterans issue. It was something like traumatic brain injury or PTSD or something like that, something pretty important. And none of the Republicans on that committee had shown up. He's the only guy that reported. And it made me think, how many things have I seen in the blogosphere, questions that have been raised in the blogosphere that the mainstream media never picks up? So I said, well, that's what I can do. I'm already reading the blogosphere. I can identify these issues that the mainstream media isn't covering. I can go up to the hill and just start asking these questions that are being raised. That's what I ended up doing. The model's expanded a little bit. There's a lot of fundraisers. There's a lot of kind of seedy activity that goes on up there, and where a dirty fucking hippie or a blogger isn't welcome. So I insert myself, covering these fundraisers and stuff like that. So that's what the model's expanded to. A little bit about the experience so far. It did start out, like David said, Cameron, people's faces, and I've got this amazing lack of self-awareness. I don't know what I look like or I sound like until I see the video later. And I've always been annoyed by the James O'Keefe style videos or the Jason Matera right wing where they come up to our candidates and why are you such an asshole? Because it sounds to me like the reporters. And then I look at my video, and on some of the videos, when you're hostile and aggressive like that. Well, I didn't like myself very much. So I changed that a little bit. A, because I didn't like the way it looked, and B, because these politicians really are on a 24-hour, 365-day election cycle now. They're ultra crosses, and you can't get any coverage at all if these guys won't talk to you. So I've dialed that back. I'm not as hostile in my questioning. I introduce myself, let them know the parameters of this topic that I want to ask about, and then I can ask the very same questions, and I don't seem like a dick, and I think that helps. A little more about the experience. The commitment required is pretty extraordinary. This is no, world's smallest violin. It's just, if you want to do this, this is what you're going to end up doing. You do the research. It's 2 or 3 hours of reading blogs every day. You're doing that already, so that's no big deal. You're traveling to your state house or you're traveling to Congress. That can be an hour each way. For me, it's a little bit more. So you're on the road quite a bit every day, but if you've got any job, that's probably the same. After that, it's uploading data, takes a couple hours, and then you got to write it up. You got to write the stories up. It's a genuine full day by the time you're done. I wanted to talk a little bit about the technology you can use. Virtually any smartphone is a voice recorder, so you can use voice recorders for your interviews. Any MP3 player also has voice recorders. Like I said, 24-hour election cycle, they're afraid of everyone's sort of the macaca moment, the YouTube moment. So for some reason, they're afraid of video. I tell people that, don't call me a racial slur and you won't have a macaca moment.
Or assault you.
This is no different. Nobody's been not elected because of the content of the video. It's always been the content of their words. So I try to ease them into this, but honest to God, politicians are pretty ugly. Nobody's really concerned about what they look like when they're saying things. They're concerned about what they're saying. So when I do it with just audio, what I'll do is I'll go find a picture of the politician somewhere, and in my video editing software, layer the audio on top of the picture and just run it all the way through. It's it maybe lacks a little bit of traction, but I mean not that much. And also this camera here is better than flip cams if you're doing any kind of work outside. It's got this kind of wind baffle, and you need that. There's been a lot of videos that I shot that I thought had some decent content that I couldn't use just because the wind noise was so severe.
What is that?
This is called it's a zoom flip cam. You take a little bit of a hit with this thing because it doesn't record in high definition video, but it's TV quality, so it's good enough. Where is this going in the future? As technology advances, already they've got smartphones that will allow you to record video and instantly upload it. I think a lot of the time can be cut out. The name of my site is Self Reports. Obviously, there's the name affiliation, but it's also, most reporters will take their little recording phone, write the story that they want to write, tell the story that they want to tell, and then select the quote that supports the story that they're trying to tell. My reports are nothing at all like that. My reports are stark. You get what I got. So there's an upside to it in that it's raw, and there's no filter between you and the material I've collected. There's a downside to it. 90% of it is boring as hell. In the future, like I said, you can see all these things in real time. So a lot of at least in terms of video, a lot of the going home and uploading it and all the rest will be cut out, and I'll be able to turn things around a lot more quickly. If you've got any questions at the end,